Welcome to the Unbuttoned Up podcast, where career talk gets real and a little unbuttoned.
We're here to help you land the job, get the promotion, and make your next move without sounding like a corporate robot.
Are you climbing the ladder or are you plotting your escape? We are saying what everyone's thinking at work, but we are saying it out loud.
So grab your coffee or cocktail and let's get unbuttoned.
Thank you so much for being on our show today. We're live at the Mahaffey Theater with Powered Up with Tampa Bay Tech. And we have a panel of amazing technologists here with us today. And I want each of you to introduce yourselves because I'm sure you can do a better job at introducing yourselves than I can. But Brian, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, Brian Beesley. I am a Senior Director of AI Systems and Platforms for Slalom. We're like an 11,000 person consulting company. We do sort of everything in consulting, services, technology, so there. Cool.
Hello, my name is Marianne Kirkland. I am the Director of Digital and AI Transformation at TD SYNNEX. TD SYNNEX is the largest IT distribution in the world, and I lead their team with AI, doing a lot of governance, a lot of different pillars around AI.
So my name is Vlad Voyuts. I'm the head of Dynasty Labs at Dynasty Financial Partners. We are a wealth tech platform that helps financial advisors to go independent. We have about 60 firms in our network. And as a part of Labs, my focus is AI, innovation, and partnerships.
Wow. First of all, wow, congratulations. I feel like very impressive. Panel that we have here. First of all, I know AI is like the topic that everyone is talking about. And how do you use AI in your business? And if I'm assuming that you all have adopted it throughout, if not, like, what's your plan? Like, what are your concerns, risks, all that? Like, where are you with AI with your companies?
First, so we have two sides of the business, right, from the tech perspective. So the first one is the technology we deliver to our advisors, where we have a proprietary platform and they have a bunch of AI capabilities. So, from AI chat to meeting experiences, we have like all these things. As the second kind of part of my job is making sure that Dynasty is more effective internally. So I think when I joined 4.5 years ago, the company was only 80 people or something. I was like number 83. And then today we're at 225 and we're hiring like 30 more people. So the company is growing, right? And this is an amazing pace where the company is going from people just using a bunch of Excel spreadsheets to when it's time, okay, let's have systems, right? And this is an amazing timing because AI is here, right? So now, for example, we don't have to invest significant amount of money building up proprietary technology. We can just, again, create from a prompt. It's not like that, right? But again, in a controlled way. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, so similar, I think. TD SYNNEX, we have also two groups, one that is go-to-market and one that is internal. So my team sits kind of on a central global. We established the risk process, which every tool that we're going to use internally needs to, even externally, really needs to go through based on the risk level. And then we have catalogs of approved tools and solutions for all the employees that can use them. We've developed AI policy. This is kind of where like our wheelhouse is. And we have labs that we've used for experimentation. But like any big company, TD SYNNEX has about 23,000 coworkers. And so we're focused on three big things. We're focused on mindset, tool set, and skill set. And so it's not just the tools. It's not just, hey, here's AI, go play with it, go do whatever you need to do. It really is a mindset change. And we need to skill people and invest in them, skill them up to know how to use it, how to do prompt engineering, what are the risks, how do you mitigate some of these risks. And so for TD SYNNEX, that's kind of like our three things that we're using across the board. So
Yeah, and at Slalom, so we're sort of interesting because we're a services provider, right? And so my team is people that were data scientists, machine learning people. I mean, have been in kind of the AI-ish space for a long time, and so there's definitely that arm of we help our clients build AI solutions, and like there's that whole sort of going to market and helping people on their own AI journeys. But my team is the only team at Slalom, right? We're a whole big company, and so a big thing that we are going through is, well, what how does professional services change in a world where AI is the norm, and how are we building the consultant of the future and changing the way that we deliver services? We're kind of we're not big four big, and we don't have huge offshore farms where you can get really low cost headcount and labor and all of that. We've got some nearshore capability, et cetera, but I think that we're in a really interesting position to leverage AI in a way that makes average bill rates, consulting bill rates, manageable, but also changes the way that we deliver because we can bring a lot of really cool and interesting AI-oriented accelerators to the work that we do that's traditionally been paid by the hour. And so we're doing a lot more fixed price work these days, where we are pricing our AI accelerators and IP that we built into the projects that we do, the services that we provide. And a lot of it is around helping people use AI not only as a technically built solution, but also how do you enable your people to do AI and all those fun things. So tons of accelerators, tons of it's really sort of it's pervasive. It's changed everything that we do.
So for a company starting out that wants to start implementing AI, what do you think is the first step forward? Like having data infrastructure before deploying AI, or what would you say?
Well, the first step is to make sure that you have your acceptable use policy in place. You've got a bunch of risk and governance risk people here between me and Marianne. No, I think that it's important to have an idea of who you want to be in the AI space. Are you primarily a user of AI, a builder of AI? When we have AI strategy conversations, one of the first things that always comes up is, are we going to build a team that has this technical skill set to where we're wrangling our own kind of technically built AI solutions, or are we going to be happy as the company that leans into the ChatGPT enterprises and Claude enterprises and the Copilot usage and all those sorts of things, and we can really get what we need there. So it's understanding, what are you trying to accomplish? At least at the executive sort of strategy level, start there and then let that dictate, where do our investments go? What licenses do we procure? And do we even want to consider dabbling in more technically built solutions? And then from there, you can get into all the different topics around, corporate context engineering and all of all the other things that sort of go as you mature.
Yeah, I second what Brian said. I think the governance process is super important. I think it's important to bring your subject matter experts, meaning the people that are legal folks, cybersecurity people, infrastructure folks, bring them together. At least you have someone that can really review the risks behind every AI initiative that you're going to implement. In parallel to that, because we don't want to move slow in order while we're building this, but in parallel, I really would look for that one area in the business that would have the most impact. And look for something that is working, but it's just taking a long time, or there's a lot of hurdles to go through, or that there's something in it that is not making it efficient. And then start putting AI in these areas rather than just putting AI in something so small that you really wouldn't even notice, right? So I always say, go with the big, where you can see the big win.
Well, I think it's an interesting question for this group of people, because we were just talking about introducing AI to enterprise, and your question is about small company, right? So I think our mind's a little bit twisted there, right?
We're testing you.
Yeah. So what I would say is, if you're a small company, right, what you want to do, actually, you want to run lean, right? And that's one thing. The second thing, you probably don't want to, you want to hire smart people who know what not to do, right? So maybe some of these policies and control that can wait for a bit. So I would say just get Cloud Code and just run as lean as you can, as far as you can. That's what I would, at least. And I know like policies, I think this is where the interesting thing is, this is where enterprises win compared to like even smaller, like compared to a lot of smaller companies, because enterprises already have controls, right? As an enterprise, your employees can't just install a random tool, right? As an enterprise, you have an ability to go and block all the AI tools out there, right? Small companies don't have that. Right? Even at Dynasty, like 4 years ago, we didn't have a lot of these controls. Like now we do, and it's like it's perfect timing for us. But yeah, so like just read and use code.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think that I would almost say there's probably a counterpoint to that, right? Which is that because you don't have the level of control as a smaller company, there's more pressure on getting some of the policy in place and making sure that people are aware of what their guardrails are, what they can and can't do. I mean, Claude Code is creative, like it will find ways around. And if you've got people that have, keys to the kingdom and access to things they shouldn't have, and they're using Claude Code on their machine, I mean, there's some real estate out there, right? They could sink your small ship. So you gotta be careful with how you do that. So I think that there's a balance to strike for sure. Yeah, hire smart people that know what they should and shouldn't do. You still gotta keep them in mind, keep them in check.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a combination of both, right? I think definitely hire on because a smaller scale, so hire smart people. But in parallel, I think you still need your legal team. You still need the people that know the risk, because the risks of AI, they're real and they're quick. So you can wipe an entire production database in seconds, right? So, and smart people know how to do that. And if you build an agent, they know how to do that too. And so you need to be really careful with the risk and what you're giving the keys, like Brian was saying, to definitely agree, like smaller companies, maybe you're not putting the brakes on in order to set up governance or in order to set up process and set up the policies and whatever, but at least include in these smart people that we hire someone that can look at the risk with the lens of I'm here to protect my company from risk.
Yeah.
What type of access do you give your employees to AI? Is it a certain, because you are at this point larger companies, very large companies, is it are you very controlled with what AI tools that you give them? How is that AI governance now, being in a company of your size? How are those restrictions? Because everyone's using ChatGPT and Claude and all the popular ones. How do you restrict that, or how do you control that?
Yeah. So for us, we have, like I told you, the risk management process, and we have a catalog of tools for people to use. That's a little different than security and who gets access to what, right? So the who gets access to what, we go by the role level security. So if somebody has already production access, then with AI, they'll have production access. If somebody doesn't have access to financial data, it doesn't matter what AI you have or what agent you build, we will make sure that they don't have access to financial data. So that's where the subject matter experts and the risk folks come in, and to really look at each of the initiative that you have to make sure that the security is in place. But in terms of ChatGPT, we actually did a mandatory training. And at the end of the mandatory training was training on the AI policy that we created. And every coworker gave their attestation to the policy that it is their responsibility and that the governance process is mandatory. And so we told them in the training, yes, you can use ChatGPT, don't put company data in it, right? We told them that we have internal things that you can use, like ChatGPT, that you can use and use with, Copilot, for example. As long as you see a green shield, your data is protected, you can go and you can use it for that. But we're not limiting them to not using it, but we are training them that it is your responsibility, and company data is very important. So don't put company data into ChatGPT or any other chat assistant.
Similar thing. We blocked pretty much everything pretty quickly, and then we gave people hey, here's quick co-pilots, use that. Green shield, yes, definitely tip.
The green shield.
And the same thing, we just got comfortable with Claude, so that's been a big thing for us. And then it's kind of the same thing, right? have policy, don't do anything stupid. But the interesting thing is, and we had this conversation backstage there, that every vendor will try to give you something AI, right? Like your calculator, right? It's just a calculator, but at some point, someone will want to put an AI agent that will help you with formulas, and it's going to be, wrong 0.01% of the time. So, and you might not know about it. So the problem is you have 40 vendors, right? And then each one is pushing their AI functionality to you. You might not even know about it. So my question is actually like, okay, so if someone knows if the solution exists, how to solve this, how me or our IT team can be aware of like all these like changes across all your vendors and systems, like that'd be awesome. But it's hard to track some of these things.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fortunately, people won't shut up about their AI solutions, so you can only just scrape the newsrooms of your respective vendors, and hopefully they're announcing their AI solution as they get it out. I think it's really important to have it's important to acknowledge that your employees will be using AI, and so if you try to restrict everything, then you're just going to you're going to get contraband AI, right? That's just the way that it's going to be. So you've got to get them an approved path, and it can't be too high friction, but you've got to do the enablement, like Marianne was talking about. I talked a lot about we're very much down the path of, as a services provider, we have to be on this train, or otherwise we're the way that consulting was done 5 years ago is just too expensive now, and we're not going to be competitive in this marketplace. And so everybody in our organization at least has ChatGPT Enterprise. I believe we've got pockets of Codex, pockets of Claude. We don't have Cowork turned on for anybody yet. But we're also very fortunate to be a company that has a lot of really strong technologists, and we've built secure sort of chat and AI tooling that fully hosted within our ecosystem, all within our firewalls, to where we can use things where all there, and can navigate our company data and do great work. So we've got many. Sometimes it's hard to know which one to go to because there's just so many access to.
We talk with a lot of different companies, and we see some companies kind of taking the back seat a little bit on AI and how they're going to implement it, if they're going to implement it, because they have their processes. How do you feel companies are leveraging AI compared to the ones that are not? And how are they comparing, and how are they ahead? How are they behind?
Yeah, I think it really varies. A lot of companies are still very much stuck in kind of pilot mode or experimentation mode. I think for a lot of companies, there's almost a kind of, we've got the Copilot licenses and we have to have the Copilot licenses, or we have to have these licenses. But it's just sort of it's table stakes now, and there's no real value. Something that we've really taken to as one of our service offerings is something that we call AI coaching, very similar to the agile coaching of years past. But integrating sort of AI native people together, often starting at the executive tiers and then sort of filtering down, and walking through kind of process it together. Let's do a day in the life. Let's figure out how you can use these tools to make your life easier. But one of the things that those coaches really do is focus on what is the metric that we're trying to improve, or and actually being able to report out and say, hey, look, because you use this tool, you were actually able to save XYZ number of hours. That's not something that most people will just do kind of on their own. If you're anything like me, you're just like, I just go to ChatGPT and I do, whatever. But to actually have the rigor around, okay, well, no, we really do need to document the before and after, and that makes it a lot easier to see, to get kind of value, an understanding of value that's beyond just adoption and logins and et cetera. So.
I can share. So at Dynasty, right, we work with a lot of breakaway advisors, right, who worked at a larger financial institution or broker dealer, right, or a bank. And we, for our prospects, we do the demos of our technology, right? So we kind of know based on the reaction, what is the state of technology at the different places. And typically the reaction is like, wow, right, I can do that. And again, like you said, right, it's all about, hey, is there value? And people see the value and they want to do it. And then I think our job as technologists is just like, how can we make the business more efficient and make sure we just like don't create any roadblocks, but do it in a safe way. Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing I would add is to make sure that there's a human in the loop. You got to have human in the loop. You got to have review, because if you don't, your agents are just going to do whatever they want to do. I mean, we give whatever instructions and we write the right prompts and so on, but they are autonomous and they can definitely go outside the guardrails. So I think having human in the loop and a human review, and within your process, I think that's super important.
Yeah, a good point. So do you think AI is right now or in the next few years creating more entrepreneurs, or is it growing companies, or is it reducing jobs and kind of consolidating them because AI can now do the work?
So my opinion, I don't know what the right answer is to that question, but I think it's changing the job market, definitely. I don't know if the hiring will stay the same. You might not need someone to write code, maybe, because you have tools that can write code, but you still need someone that understands code to do a review, right? And so I don't think it's going to eliminate completely the need. I don't see that. I think it's going to have you'll see different job descriptions. I think you'll see different jobs. Like before, a few years ago, we didn't have prompt engineering, and now we do. So I think you'll see different jobs out there. I think it will create some entrepreneurs, because it's easy to ask Claude or ChatGPT or someone that, hey, build me a business plan, right? Give me a good idea and build me a business plan. But I do think it takes a little bit of grit and different characteristics of an entrepreneur. So I don't think anyone can just follow the instructions and become an entrepreneur. I think there's a little bit of, you need grit, you need a business savvy person. So I think there's a lot of different characteristics to that. So that's my 2 cents.
Yes, on the number of entrepreneurs. On the job market, I think the situation is that, right? Like writing code, doing your job gets easier, but the complexity of what you do gets up, right? Because like, yes, like now you can ship code. So every single application, it had like your calculator had 1 feature, now it have 21 features, right? And it's going to be the same situation across every single system. So now the limit is actually people's brain, right? Can you comprehend the way the system works? Because you still need to know, because there's a business business context there that you need to know. So the complexity is just going to go up significantly. So that's why, it's just the people who were, good with tech and decent with like understanding the business, the process, they'll just get elevated. And then the people who were just, and I'm speaking from an engineering background, right? So like who were just good at writing code, they have to step up their game and start getting to the product level. So it's just going to be, like you said, right? It's going to be just this reallocation. But again, the complexity will get just up there, right? Like every single business now, they don't have to buy Salesforce. They can go and build their own CRM with a prompt, right? And maybe you don't need a team. You can have like one person who knows how to do this in a secure way, right? And like, that's it. So you will see, I think, a huge diversity of these like products and little systems. And again, the complexity goes up. Now you have to, at some point, you have to hire people to clean all this mess up, because the company didn't think about the data governance. And now you have the same kind of data living in 50 systems. It wasn't possible before, but now it's going to be there. So I just think that the roles will just change and shift. But yeah, it's going to be more work, actually.
And I think we're seeing a lot more specialized positions, like an AI engineer, Gen AI engineer, forward deployment engineer, I think is a new one, where it's a blend of tech and consulting. So it's creating all these exciting new roles for people. There's a lot of exciting certifications for people to get now. So it is an exciting time. Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for all your enlightenment. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.